I'm Kristen. I'm a dispatcher with Drip IV. Welcome to Behind the Drip. I'm Kristen Maryhugh. I live in Lehigh. I'm married and I have 3 kiddos. I have an 8-year-old daughter, a 6-year-old son, and a 3-year-old son. And I like to snowboard. We like to camp, spend time with family, play games, all kinds of things like that. We have a cat and a dog too.
Awesome.
We love animals.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So you've been with Drip for like 2.5 years. How did you get started with them?
So when my 3-year-old was born, he just turned 3. He was diagnosed with a bleeding disorder, and I had been working as a 911 dispatcher for 9 years at that point. And I knew that I couldn't work with that schedule with how his life was going to be, especially because we really didn't know what that was going to look like. So I stopped working altogether, thought I would do the stay-at-home mom thing, and holy crap, that's a hard job. So I was done being at home. I needed to do something. So I'd kind of kept an eye on job postings, and I saw one for Drip in October or September. I saw it, and I knew Landon and Jameson from my 911 days. I didn't know them, but I knew of them. And so I messaged Landon and said, hey, tell me about this job, like what goes into it. And he said, well, just come in and chat with us. Like we'll do kind of an informal interview type thing. And so I met with him and Cammie, and here I am. Awesome. 2.5 years later.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, I mean, 2.5 years, that's a long time. You've kind of seen Drip go from, all the different stages. What do you feel like in your experience, like Drip has to offer patients?
I think it's a really cool thing when someone is not feeling well and they know that they need some help, but they don't want to go to a hospital, because that comes along with, all the other illnesses that you're exposed to there, but also with the wait time and the co-pays or whatever bills might come from that. And when you go with Drip, you know that the price you see is what you're going to pay. And so I think, and plus it's in the comfort of your own home. You can be in your bed, your lazy boy, your couch, the bathroom floor if you can't leave the toilet, like it's just, we can make it really convenient for people. And it's a cool thing to be able to help people feel better. By the time the nurses leave, they're already feeling better.
Totally. Yeah, I think that's one huge plus is, Drip makes it so accessible.
Yeah.
Like before that, like where do you get an IV if not the hospital?
Yeah.
And that's, so difficult.
Yep, you either call an ambulance because you're that sick, or you go to a hospital and then you leave feeling better.
So that makes, I'd love to ask, do you have a favorite Drip of all the ones?
My favorite is the Mega Myers, probably because the Myers is obviously our most popular. It helps with everything from hydration, energy, immunity. It kind of hits everything. And then the Mega Myers obviously is just that with more.
That's a great one. I think that's kind of like an underdog one, because between Myers Plus and Mega Myers, I think sometimes just is like, what's the difference? And Mega Myers is the Mega.
Yeah,
Myers.
It really packs a punch.
Yeah. So tell me if are there any Drip stories that stand out to you? Maybe one that you dispatched for, that you just heard in your time here, and why did it stick out to you?
I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily a specific story, but I feel like a lot of the stories are similar. And it's like I mentioned before with sick patients, like someone will say, I have been throwing up for 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever, and I can't keep anything down. I'm just so dehydrated and so sick. And to be able to send a nurse to them, get them a drip and have them feeling better. A lot of times people will text after and say, I already feel so much better. And I know that's true because I've had that experience myself when I had COVID or when I had the stomach flu. And by the time the nurse leaves, I'm like, okay, I don't feel 100%, but I'm not throwing up anymore and I'm hydrated and I actually feel like I can rest, which is what my body needs at this point. So it's amazing to see the difference in our like sick patients that get it versus, because I know we have like endurance athletes and things that get drips, and those benefits obviously are awesome as well, but it's really cool to see the change in a sick patient from the time that we first talk to them and when a nurse leaves their house.
Totally. Sometimes it's hard to believe. It's like, what if I just drank a liter of water, but it's so different.
And you can't even keep that down a lot of the time too. When you're that sick, you're in that like cyclic, whatever it's called, vomiting, and you just can't stop. Everything you put in your body comes right back up. And so straight to the veins, straight to the blood system. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are the stories that stuck out to me when I first started getting into this. I'd never heard of IV therapy before, but it just makes so much sense. It's like, what do you do when you can't get nutrients like any other way?
Yeah.
Right? So, and it's so fast. I think that's the thing. It's like bypasses the digestive system.
Yep.
Rapid.
And a lot of people will ask too, like, how long does it take? And I always tell them, we tell people to plan for like an hour. is about the average time, but sometimes it's even shorter depending on how quickly your veins let the drip flow. Sometimes it's a little longer because you have smaller veins or whatever. There's different things that can make it take a little longer, but the whole process from start to finish being like 45 minutes to maybe an hour and 15, an hour and 30 minutes, like that's pretty amazing. And you're already feeling the benefits of that drip before that time's up.
I'm curious, just you brought up some of the timings, and so I was thinking about NAD because I know that one takes a little bit longer. Yeah. Have you had NAD before?
I haven't had NAD before. I've heard it's an experience.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, it sounds crazy. I know there was like a nurse training a few months ago when a bunch of nurses did it, and they were just like, whoa, like body aches, like feeling sick, but afterwards you can like run a marathon or something. You know?
Feeling on top of the world.
Yeah. Okay, so you're very much on like the front lines with like you're who the patients talk to when they first have questions, setting up appointments. Are there any questions that you get asked a lot, and what are the answers to this?
I think some of the most common questions are how long it takes, which we already talked about. Another one that people ask is like, what do you recommend? What's the best drip for me to get? And really we have a drip for everything, but also the Myers is the drip for everything. The Myers Plus covers all the ailments, all of whether you want just hydration, energy, immunity, you're feeling sick, whatever it is, the Myers will take care of it. I mean, not heal you, but it's going to be beneficial for anything basically. And so I think that's one of my favorite questions because there's always an answer to it. Because we do have a drip for anything except for, what's it called when you're low on iron? Anemia.
Oh, right.
We don't have iron. And so people ask that sometimes, and I hate being able to, or having to tell people no, and it's like, no, we don't have that. I'm so sorry. But
that's a hard one. I think when I started seeing those questions, it was like, wait, why? And it's something about you have to like know what their level already is. Or
because it could be bad if someone has too much, obviously.
Yeah.
And like the vitamins and minerals that we're giving people, you don't want to overload them because it's just a waste. Your body just eliminates them. But like we're not going to give you too much of something else that's going to hurt you like iron would. So.
Yeah, totally. I think that's kind of a nice thing about drip too is like, okay, everybody should know that we're working under medical providers. They're signing off on, everybody. And then we've got these water soluble vitamins, right? So it's like the only thing it can do is help you. So kind of going along with that, is there anything that you just wish everybody could know about IV therapy?
That we come to you and it's worth it. Yes, for us especially. I mean, we're strictly mobile, and a lot of people, that's another question people will ask is like, oh, you're coming to my house? Like, yeah, we come to you. You don't have to go anywhere. Stay in your pajamas. When I was sick and Katie came to my house to give me a drip, when I had COVID, I opened the door. I was in my robe. I had been in bed for days. I looked so rough. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're so sick. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry you're seeing me like this. She's like, no, this is how we always see people. So.
I love it, right? Like the mobile aspect, it's so convenient. Like you could be at the office, you know what I mean? Like you can't take a day off or something. Like a nurse could come at the office after a race, it's like meet you where you are.
We'll meet you where you at.
Yeah.